LCSC students of history, Professor Eric Martin here, and if you are watching this video, you must be in one of my 100 level history courses, particularly History 102, Spring 26. Now, I'm hoping I can just use this example for a 101 course as well, conceptually. But I'm going to talk directly to 2026 because here's the deal. I am receiving a number of questions that are a little bit surprising to me about protocol for the course, about what you guys are supposed to be doing, about where things are located. And I say it's surprising to me because I've taught the course in this format more or less for a number of years, and there just seems to be a larger number of questions than usual. So I am going to operate off an additional explanation, maybe some more visuals is useful for you, right? So this is some stuff that probably should have been up on the first day of class. Putting it up now. I'll put it in the probably the first week module. Probably put it in one of the other modules so you guys can actually see it. I'll put it in the first week module. You guys can go back to it. So let me just kind of talk about what I mean walking through the website. And I'm going to try to be quick about this because for the more conscientious of you, you already know what's up, and maybe this is repetitive. So here's the course website, right? When you show up to the course website. First day of class announcement. All right, you go to the first day of class announcement and walk your way through it. Make sure you know what's up. It more or less tells you what to do. A few of the things it tells you is that some of my videos are a little dated, but conceptually they still work. College doesn't use Blackboard anymore. Ignore the references to it. Don't use Bridging World History anymore. I'm in the process of trying to update the videos. Same thing with Traditions and Encounters. There's this Here's the Deal document. I'll come to that, but that's like the syllabus part 2. Don't skip it. There's these 2 videos down here that more or less explain how the class is going to work. Now, it's just kind of old school, me talking. I don't have any visualization here. But I can tell by the counters that I get from YouTube. I don't know if they're really being watched, which makes me wonder about some of the questions. Let's go back and take a look. Let's go back to the Here's the Deal document, right? The Here's the Deal document goes into more or less some of the situation with online courses, some of the technological expectations I have, time required, exams at the testing center. You guys get those things set up soon, and this is especially true for anyone who is not taking your exams at the LCSC testing site. All right. Sometimes everything's cool. Other times you go to the testing site in Twin Falls or Coeur d'Alene or wherever, and there's paperwork that's got to get moved back and forth. You don't want to wait till the last minute to do that. Class participation, formal discussion boards. That I want to talk about that, but I want to show you guys that in the process. The course, at least for the time being, is heavily focused on discussion boards. I want to know what you're thinking about the readings that are assigned. The most important thing to me in this class is that you do the readings and that you write your discussion posts yourself. I do not want to read stuff written by a robot. And I do not want to read stuff written about something that is not the documents. Okay? That's your mission in the class. Formal discussion grades. Discuss the documents. I'm going to come to that. You guys are going to take turns leading the class discussion. If your last name begins with A through question mark, and it's question mark because sometimes where the class divides is a little different. You want to know what that means for your particular semester? Go to the announcements. What does A through question mark through Z mean? And it'll tell you for your semester in the announcements, all right? If you are required to lead a discussion, I expect to see you break down one of the documents by the end of the day on Tuesday so the discussion gets kicked off. And I expect to see you follow that up by the end of the day on Saturday. Now, let's just go do that right now, shall we? And here's the deal. I can't really show you what I want to show you because it's not clear to me that I can show you discussion posts where students are actually in them and you see names. Getting that cleared up, but I'm just doing this right now anyway. Nobody's done this stuff. I've got these these starter threads going. So this week, somebody whose last name begins with the letters, question mark through Z, right, is going to come in here and you're going to say, all right, I read that. You're supposed to read the whole chapter. You're going to be tested on it. However, you're coming in here, you don't have to write something on each and every one. That would get old fast. This is supposed to be like a classroom discussion where the professor says, all right, what'd you guys get out of the Captain Thomas Phillips, buying and selling slaves document? And somebody gets in here and breaks it down. This is kind of what I understood from the document. These are some questions I had. This is what I thought about it. The next person chimes in. Hey, here are some things you missed. So it's like a discussion where we're not repeating the same things over and over, right? And so the whole mission is you get those things kicked off on Tuesday, and then we got something to talk about for the rest of the week so that by the time we get to Saturday, we can start making some grand conclusions about what all this stuff means. I, again, want to continue to emphasize zero toleration policy for AI. It will come out. Okay, it will come out in a few different ways. I'm not interested in highly polished ideas that are not yours. I want to see what's happening up here. I'd rather see you write something that is honest in your effort to understand things, and I know came from an LCSC student, then see you type some information into a robot, cut and paste, put it in the discussion boards, and then lo and behold, discover you bombed the test. You're going to be tested over all this stuff. I'm telling you right now, the exams for the class are focused on, did you read? Did you read? Handwritten notes. You can use all the handwritten notes you want on the exams. Handwritten, not typed. All right? Discussion posts. I ain't trying to get cranky. I just want to make sure that we understand what's up, because sometimes there is some confusion over how the discussion boards are supposed to work, and then sometimes there's some confusion over what I want. I want to know that you read. Now, here's the other deal on these discussion boards, and we can do this by going back to that here's the deal document. All right. Somewhere. Extra credit. Only extra credit I'm going to consider for this class is additional participation on the discussion boards during the week they're happening. There is no reason week 12 to talk about, well, what if I went back to week 4 and added something? That's like walking into a classroom that's empty and saying, I got something to add to this discussion. We've all left. It's over. Stay engaged. That's the way you do it. Now, let me tell you about the gloom and doom on the extra credit, okay? Canvas does not like the way that I do extra credit. The grading gets kind of funky. Don't let it freak you out. Don't let it freak you out. I'll probably just post a different video about this. When you're required to post, you're going to get a grade 1 through 100. When you're doing it as extra credit, it's going to come as a 1 through 10. So I can look at a grade book and see what's extra credit and what's not. Canvas does not know what to do with that. So guess what it does? It gives you a single digit grade and you participate in extra credit and your grade goes down. Do not trust what Canvas tells you your overall grade is. All right. I know that sucks. I've been trying to figure out how to do this and working with e-learning to fix this. It's not happening this semester. Okay. Discussion boards. The discussion boards are your study guide for your exam. You're supposed to be talking about the documents because you know you're going to get asked about them on the exam. So make sure you read them. All right, make sure you read them. Books. You need the Riley book. Let's go back to first day class announcement because I get asked about I get asked about this book. Where's it at? You need the specified edition in the syllabus. It's Worlds of History, 6th edition. But there's something like 50 copies available at the library. I suppose it's possible that they've all been checked out. But in however many years I've used this system, I don't think I've ever had a year where a student came and said, hey, there weren't any left. Go get your book. All right, first day of class stuff. Let's go into Canvas for a second because I think that one of the things that happens is some of y'all like maybe just go through this. Maybe you did check out the announcement. Maybe you did watch the videos. You went to the discussions for the week. You got things cooking. Awesome. A couple of things that I want you to be aware of. I send out announcements a couple of times a week. If you're watching this, I imagine it's because you got it through an announcement. If you're not receiving them, you might have a setting switched up. So just click on announcements once in a while to make sure you're up to date. Okay? I always send out announcements when I'm running virtual office hours. You guys are in a virtual course. You're in an online course. So I try to make myself available online. Announcements. Next. This is really what I wanted to talk about. I think a lot of people maybe miss this part. If you scroll down, it's like click this, because this is all stuff from e-learning. Oh, the course week by week. I'll have some stuff in this part. Look at that, the course modules. And you click into the first module. All right, that's easy enough. This video will be in there the next time. But check out module number 2. There's a PDF for the first week of class documents. I am not providing that after the first week of class. If you don't have your book after the first week of class, you need to make a friend in the class, or go to the library and get the free copy, right? But there's a PDF available of the readings for the first week, connection to the discussion, and then each week I've got my younger self giving you a spiel, setting up the documents, how I want you to think about them, how you might go about the discussion, and then there's a few optional things. All right, so this is from week 2. I'm not going to go through all of them, but we can go into week 3. Same thing. You guys want to watch the videos and have it set up so you understand what's going on. I realize that sometimes there is a tendency to kind of push forward, just kind of skip through stuff. You know, turn the assignment in. My grade is based on the assignment. Turn it in, turn it in, turn it in. You want to know what to turn in. And you want to know how to prepare yourself for the exam. So I want to talk to you guys about one more thing. I don't need the syllabus or the course module to... Oh, yeah, let's talk about the syllabus for 1 second. So I know it kind of freaks some of you guys out. Not the syllabus, but this stuff down here. Canvas has got some limitations about the discussion boards, or about like due dates. So when you're required to participate in the discussion, your first thing kicking the discussion off is due by the end of the day on Tuesday. Doesn't necessarily mean you had to have read all the documents, but you needed to have read some of them so you can get the discussion moving. And then you can make your first posting and buy yourself a little time to make, you know, some additional postings. But when I was using, you know, basically telling people that the end of the day Saturday was the deadline, because that's the deadline for the discussion to end, there was a lot of people that weren't doing so hot because they weren't getting that initial posting up in time for people to think about it, right? That's part of the mission. You're a discussion leader. Posting up by the end of the day of Tuesday. More postings, more better. But you don't have to go overboard. Some people like to. I'm not saying you need to. There's a lot of different ways to be successful in the class. I've seen some people be successful in the class by only posting on the weeks they were required to post. They posted substantial postings that left no doubts in my mind they were reading. When it came time for the exams, they crushed it. And their final grade was, you know, what you would expect. I've seen people that post tons of postings because they enjoy it on the weeks that they're required to, and on the weeks that they're not required to. Most of the times those people crush the exams too. However, during the times where I've had where somebody has been very active on the discussion boards, convinced me they read, but, you know, suboptimal exam scores gives me something to work with. Because remember, the most important thing to me is you convince me you read. Now let me tell you about the other end of things. And the other end of things goes like this. The last semester or two, I've had a trend, and I would love to see you guys buck this trend. And the trend goes something like this. Wonderful put wonderful in quotes, discussion post. Wonderful discussion post. Wonderful discussion post. Stone cold 20 on an exam. You know what that tells me? It tells me AI wrote your postings, and when I go back, it's not hard to figure that out. Right? So the deal is that you guys aren't going to be doing yourselves any favors having an artificial intelligence write stuff that your own intelligence is supposed to be doing, because you're going to have to focus on your own intelligence to pass those exams. And they're not that hard, but they're really hard if you haven't read, right? This is not a kind of system where I want you to like have every single small detail of those exams figured out or the documents figured out. Making exams is hard. And my approach to the exams, if you read it, if you read the document, the answer should more or less be clear. And if you didn't read the document, it might be kind of hard. So read. Engage in the thing. And so anyway, that's the deal. Now for some of y'all, it's all good. I've gone on too long. But I received a lot of questions about where things were, how people were supposed to do things. So I thought I'd shoot the quick video, clear it up. If you've got any questions, you are always welcome to pop by during my virtual office hours. You're welcome to pop by during my campus office hours. You're welcome to send me a message through the inbox. We'll see if we can work it out, either setting up a mutually convenient time to meet or just sort things out through the email. Enjoy your historical studies, and I'll see you later. Good luck.